स्पाइसजेट पे फोकस करने से पहले चलिए सुन लेते हैं गोदरेज कंज्यूमर प्रोडक्ट्स के रिजल्ट्स पे क्या कहना है कंपनी के चेयरमैन आदि गोदरेज का।
Against the industry growth of 13% and our volume growth was 4% against industry volume growth of 1%. In hair color, our growth was 27% against industry growth of 13%. When I say industry growth, these are AC Nielsen figures. In household insecticides, our growth was 26% against industry growth of 13%. So you can see in all the three major categories we play in the domestic market, we grew well ahead of category growth. Also, we feel category growths are quite strong across India, and I think some of you might have seen that HUL figures were also better than people had expected. So generally we feel FMCG growth is going well, and we see very good signs of strong growth in the first quarter of the current year also. I'll end my remarks with that, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions you may have.
चलिए थे आदि गोदरेज कंज्यूमर के रिजल्ट्स पे बातचीत करते हुए वीकनेस देखने को मिली इन रिजल्ट्स के बाद स्टॉक की हमने पिटाई होती हुई देखी थी। फिलहाल 2% के आसपास कमजोरी के साथ 840 के लेवल्स के आसपास ये काउंटर ट्रेड कर रहा है। लेकिन फोकस करेंगे वापस स्पाइसजेट पे, जहां पे इस कंपनी के सीईओ नील मिल्स हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। नील, सॉरी टू कीप यू वेटिंग। टू इंडियन एविएशन सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक न्यूज दैट आई वुड लाइक टू फोकस ऑन. Against the backdrop of the financial deal between Jet Airways and Etihad, India and Emirates have decided to increase their air capacity by around 36,000 to 37,000 seats a week. Isn't there a fear that other hub carriers like Singapore Airlines may also lobby with India, increasing their share of air capacity?
I think the bilateral negotiations are something best left to the government. But certainly from our perspective, as long as competition is logical, the long-haul flights which are being diverted via the Gulf or via Singapore don't particularly affect SpiceJet. SpiceJet flies directly within 5 hours. So the impact on SpiceJet for these sort of large hub carriers is much smaller than on the long-haul connecting carriers which we actually have today.
Another interesting, what we are picking up is that the government has allowed couriers to unbundle some services from base fare, which may fall as a consequence, obviously. But how would such a move affect airlines like yours?
I think being able to unbundle fares is certainly, again, it's in line with international norms. So certainly being able to unbundle fares is a positive, certainly a big positive sign for us. And in the future, we'll be able to do things on an a la carte basis, which allows customers to just choose what they're prepared to pay for and not have to buy services that they don't actually value. For instance, a day trip business passenger, why does he need 20 kilos of check-in baggage? He doesn't even have check-in baggage. So why is he paying for it on an implicit basis? So this, I think, will be much better going forward and will certainly help us to structure and target services at people that are prepared to pay for them, rather than a fairly old-fashioned approach, which is to bundle the way that we've been forced to up to now.
Coming back to SpiceJet, how is the business stacking up for the company? We had seen a stellar set of numbers in the last or December quarter.
We haven't announced our last quarter's results yet, and we won't until the end of May. So I'm afraid I'm not at liberty because of SEBI guidelines to discuss those at this point.
SpiceJet's market share had risen to 20.4% in February this year. What's the current state? Have you been able to hold on to those gains or build on those gains?
Market share hovering around 20%. If it's 19% or 21%, doesn't make that much difference. I think the biggest difference for us is that 20% for SpiceJet shows that we're a credible large player that is too big to be ignored. And I think that's more what's important for us, rather than whether the absolute number is 19% or 21%.
But Neil, with drop in crude prices and higher market share, should we expect a stronger March quarter from your end and a healthier FY14?
As I said before, I can't give you any sort of guidance on Q4. I'd get myself into a lot of trouble with SEBI if I did, so I'm not going to do that. Going forward, certainly the fuel price change certainly changes the dynamics. In India, we're hovering between around 50% as our total cost for fuel versus revenue. So even a small change in that does make a significant difference.
Analysts and market participants generally worry about the balance sheet issues with